Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the webinar on the inventory management battle. And I'm going to be your host today. My name is Vladimir Bezrabri. And as forecasts go, I was supposed to have a co-host today, but a lot of forecasts are unreliable. So it didn't work out this time as well. Unfortunately, my colleague, Yelena, who is the product director for one of the products at LEAFIO, has gotten under the weather and was not able to join today's webinar. So it's going to be just me today, but we have jointly worked on the webinar, and I hope you will still like the presentation. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I will walk through the agenda and let you know on where we're going to be focused today. I hope everyone can see my screen. If any questions come up, feel free to comment in the chat, and I hope everyone can hear me loud and clear. All right, so before we start looking at the inventory management and why it's considered to be a battle, I would like to announce our following webinar that is going to be dedicated to mastering the merchandising process. We are going to talk about the efficient end-to-end process management and how to make it work in current reality. So welcome. If anyone is interested, please feel free to join in August. The dates may be subject to change. We will keep everyone informed, and we'll follow information after today's meeting. So coming back to the agenda, we're going to start with a brief introduction. I presume many of you have not been familiar before with LEAFIO, what we do, and what type of work we are focused on. I'll give you a brief introduction, and then we're going to deep dive into the problem of inventory management and support the evidence by business cases from our experience. I'd like to remind that the webinar is brought to you and hosted by LEAFIO, a cloud-native automation and optimization solution provider for retail. And the core expertise of LEAFIO is at the intersection of domain expertise, which is retail supply chain management, front end and back end, including replenishment processes, merchandising management, and promotion management. That is the expertise that is supported by state-of-the-art technology that is delivered with customer-centric approach and is communicated and delivered to our customers through consulting projects and implementation projects. Just to give you a better understanding of the technology that we work with, the core solution offering is automatic replenishment that is focused on delivering the optimal balance for each SKU at each SKU location. The shelf space optimization, which is a solution dedicated to end-to-end process management in merchandising, and our latest development, promotion management, that is designed to help orchestrate trade promotion management process. With this being said, I'd also like to support the evidence of our presence in numerous markets. We're currently working with over 15 countries and delivered over 130 projects for a number of retail companies over various verticals. And the team that is supporting this consists of roughly 200 people that is constantly growing. So just to give you a better understanding of the customers that we are honored to serve, range from convenience stores, grocery stores, supermarket, DIY, health and beauty, and specialty retail, liquor stores, automotive. So basically, we are able to create value for organizations that work with continuous assortment. But we're not limited to only these verticals. We're always ready to take on new challenges. So if any questions come up in the process of today's communication, please let us know. Our team will support you with the evidence. So now coming to our topic, so the inventory management battle. Why do we see this process as the battle, and how are retail companies addressing this challenge? So what is inventory management in the current environment? Well, it's the process when a retail company is trying to ensure that the product is available where it's needed at the time when it's needed, to ensure that every single sale takes place. And why it's so important for retail companies is just because, for one reason, and that reason is that it's a single biggest investment for a retail company that oftentimes exceeds 70% of the annual turnover. Within this largest asset lies the greatest opportunity for retail company to improve. And the risks are very high in inefficient management, but at the same time rewards both financial and process-driven are enormous. And what makes it difficult for retail companies to actually make the inventory management process clear, simple, is actually the actual environment. So it's like trying to fix a moving car. When the environment changes every time, it's very hard to understand, and it's very hard to implement the changes on the go. And this is where the technology steps in. This is where the organizations that are dedicated to creating state-of-the-art software solutions are stepping in and enable retail companies to make the fix on the go possible. So in particular, the solutions vary from anywhere from replenishment tools, sales and operations management tools, financial performance management, margin improvement, pricing, optimization, and so on and so forth. So these solutions are widely available on the market, which makes for good and for bad. Not allowing a retail company to have a clear understanding of what solution should be implemented at which stage, and what results it should bring, and what's the criteria for that very good solution to actually be implemented. And an answer to that question is going to be revealed later in our webinar, and we're gonna go through the criteria at the end of the webinar that will shed light on what type of what type of retail organization can actually win the battle, what activities and what focus should it keep in order to stay competitive at the current environment. So coming back to the inventory management, the growing challenge for many retail companies is the demand of customers to have a similarly high service level, similarly high customer experience across every single channel, whether it's online, whether it's curbside pickup, or it's brick and mortar purchase. And that poses a big threat to the supply chain. The variations in the demand result in either very, very high overstocks into overloading the logistics, or result in very high lost sales, lost opportunities that a lot of organizations are struggling to efficiently count and understand what type of improvements have to be made. So across all of these challenges, an automation solution is actually very valuable by enabling the possibility to balance the stock at each SKU location that has individual consumption patterns, individual demand patterns, and thus every level of the supply chain can actually be balanced. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the actual problems that result from inefficient inventory management at the retail company. So the questions that a lot of supply chain directors, managers, purchasing managers, commercial managers are asking is how to decrease the cost of stock. Many companies have at least 15 to 30% of overstocks if they do not have an inventory optimization strategy in place, which, as you can imagine, inventories being the highest ranking cost asset at the organization, reducing the stock level even by 10% can free up enormous capital for the development of either new locations, launching new channels, or driving a transformation inside the organization. So it's kind of a closed loop for many organizations, unless the problem with the inventories is solved, or at least based on our experience, it can never be solved, but it can be at manageable level just because the environment is continuously changing. So one of the criteria to efficient inventory management is the adaptability. Just because it's naturally required by the environment that retail companies are operating in. The next big problem that we see in the market, talking to hundreds of organizations in various geographies, is how to minimize out of stocks, which translates to lost revenue. And we typically see potential for improvement ranging from 5 to 15% on average to drive more sales by ensuring that stock with high turnover is available when it's needed. How to prevent spoilage? So having a lot of stock on hand results not only in freezing up the capital, but also in losing the capital just because it cannot be used. The products go to waste. Specifically, if we are talking about the grocery retail. For dry goods, the situation is somewhat better, but it is still a big challenge, as varying from type of category. On the average, fresh category produces 10 10% and upward of spoilage, whereas in dry goods, it varies from 1 to 2%. How to improve customer loyalty? That's a big question that actually spans across multiple domains, and inventory management is, I would say, at the center of the solution, since it ensures that the right product is available for the right customer. And the customer loyalty inevitably gets affected if the inventory is managed poorly. And then all of the questions above are unified with a single question for the automation. Based on our experience, the automation level, depending on how the business is operated and to particular requirements in managing various categories and types of products, can range between 55 to 95% in some cases. Some of the challenges that are also encountered by retail companies is, and it's oftentimes a continuous process, the improvement of stock levels when certain products get bought at certain location or through a certain channel and are not available for purchase for customers that need them. So making sure that the stock is balanced across every channel is an emerging big challenge for retail companies, especially when companies are introducing those new channels. And currently, approximately 30 to 35% of retail companies are in the process of introducing new channel. Some of the most popular, of course, would be curbside pickup, e-commerce. A lot of companies sell through Facebook and Instagram, and that creates additional challenge, not only in terms of making sure that the products are available at each channel, but also aligning these additional channels that are currently siloed. When e-commerce channel would be placing separate orders from brick and mortar that are not united later upstream, with current systems in place, they cannot either support this functionality or require a significant investment for the alignment. And approximately 25% of retail organizations find the restraint in resources, whether IT, financial, or operational, as an obstacle to implementing a more unified inventory management system. The second biggest challenge is lost sales. We have partially covered it in a previous slide, but this is also one of the top challenges for retail companies. Inefficient product mix comes in next, being a challenge for over 80% of organizations, as it is an ongoing process and it cannot be completed, but can rather be managed as well. So the inventory optimization, some of the inventory optimization solutions, either separate or unified, do offer the possibility of optimization either via ABC analysis, ABCD, XYZ, and these are the traditional approach that is used to optimize inventories and product metrics, but a lot of times it does require a more complex approach. Some of the market leaders do use advanced capabilities of AI in optimizing the product assortment. Inaccurate orders is a challenge for over 50% of organizations, and with current technology being available, such as predictive analytics, such as AI and machine learning, it is unexpectedly to hear that it is such a big challenge, since a lot of organizations are claiming that the forecasts are rather accurate. But the 2020 and 2021 does show that forecasts came in very far from the actual reality, and they became virtually useless in an environment of unbalanced demand. And over 50% of organizations that are using the technology, machine learning, are saying that the models require further improvement. And this is the survey on inventory management optimization that was conducted in 2021. So here the case is that actually in unpredictable environment, demand-driven replenishment comes in much closer to meeting the current demand rather than following the projected outcomes. And this is a debatable question for many organizations that are lost between the claims of what is better. The bottom line is that the forecasts get highly inaccurate 60 and plus more days in projection. The level of accuracy falls dramatically. Inefficient communication has to do, that's the next challenge. It has to do with organizational alignment. When it comes into managing a large volume of goods across multiple locations, lack of communication results in significant losses. And over 50%, actually 60% of organizations see this as a very big challenge. And implementing inventory management solution that unites supply chain, planning, purchasing, replenishment, category management in a single location is very valuable for a number of reasons. The next challenge is that software, a lot of times the advanced software can be too complex, and 28% of organizations find it a problem simply because the user acquisition is at a lower level than expected. And in this case, the solutions do not produce the value that was needed. Lack of real-time data. This is a big one, just because seeing the data from yesterday or the day before yesterday does not reflect current situation, and in a rapidly changing environment, responding quickly can make the difference, make it or break it. So this is a high priority for, this is actually one of the highest priorities for organizations for the following 12 months to work on implementing real-time data. And the advantages is, one of the advantages for real-time data is that it aligns the organization as well. It solves the previous issue. Growing sales channels. The 2020 has become a trampoline in e-commerce for a huge number of retail organizations. And this simultaneously created a very big disruption in the supply chain by adding additional channels and by trying to balance the supply and meeting the customer expectations. So it is a very large challenge for 43% of organizations. So these being the top challenges, both from the market research and from the customers that we are talking to, I'd like to move on and touch on the examples, the real life examples of the customers that we are working with. So the majority of companies that we have the privilege of working with are located in Eastern Europe, Central Eastern Europe. And one of such retail companies is OMA, the DIY retail that is comprised of 38 hypermarkets with 2 distribution centers and over 70,000 of unique SKUs. So the big challenge that the company had, and actually the reason why we started conversation, was due to excessive assortment, a lot of assortment that was not producing the financial outcome, and that required a massive resource for management. On top, this was challenged with a process that required a 4-stage approval, depending on the number of depending actually on the purchase volume, etc. So it actually resulted in very high delays, orders coming out late, several days late, up to 4 days late, and the actual order that was placed later did not reflect the situation that was actually real at the store. So this resulted in very high volume of stock on hand that was not moving. It resulted in inaccurate orders, resulted in very large volume of lost sales, unbalanced and inefficient product mix, and actually manual replenishment process. So imagine this at the scale of 45,000 customers per day, and with over 1,000 of suppliers. So this actually created a lot of lost opportunity for the organization. So every project that we work on, we approach in a manner where prior software implementation, which is in and of itself a very good and efficient approach to improving inventory management, it does not produce the results that can be achieved without proper due diligence in advance, without proper process analysis, and without optimizing the process. So we came in with our consulting team, discovered a number of possibilities to improve. We redesigned the approval process and made it automatic. So in essence, the approval process was now redundant, and it was fully on autopilot, as system was able to understand where the items are located improperly, help understand how to relocate those items to proper locations, get rid of overstock items, and balance the supply chain. So over a short period of time, we were able to fully automate the approval process, to introduce alternative items to the assortment, and to the order creation process. We were able to create a visibility on supplier reliability, as it was a big challenge for the retail company previously, and automate order optimization. So after the project implementation, the turnover improvement was significant, 18%, which resulted in 10% more sales, or vice versa, the sales pushed the turnover, just because the needed products were in stock when customers needed them. Moving forward, a recent study on inventory optimization conducted in December 2020 in the US identified the top priorities for inventory management this year. And this survey was completed for over 200 organizations in North America. And this is what they have identified as the priority. So improving data quality. 41% indicated this as a top priority for a number of reasons. A lot of companies are looking at implementing, or at least getting familiar with, the capabilities of AI. And there are pretty good solutions in the market, but the challenge comes in when the solution meets the data. And in 90% cases, the data is not ready. And improving data quality, hiring a chief data officer that is dedicated to designing a proper data metrics, designing the tools that would help gather the data, is a top priority. Improving analytics, so coming back to the real-time or near real-time analytics that give the actual information, actual understanding, both for the top management of the company and for the customers that are purchasing across multiple channels, that are making their purchase through e-commerce, and they want to pick up through brick and mortar, or delivery, or making an order at the store and receiving the order at home. So it really helps improve both customer experience and management capabilities. Improving general margin ROI. So the general GM ROI was actually one of the priorities for roughly 5% organizations on setting it as a KPI for this year. And not a lot of companies are using it, but keeping focus on how fast the investment returns on the general margin is one of the key emerging metrics for retail companies. We have actually produced a report on the structure of KPI, on how to approach this process in organization, and it's going to be soon available on our website for download. So if you'd like to learn more, you're welcome to browse through it within a week time. Optimizing inventory levels. That is a continuous priority, and it's self-evident to a certain level. The following is merchandising planning alignment, understanding how much of which merchandise should be placed in the future is a priority for 30% of organizations. Improving allocation, understanding how much of each product should be located at every sales location and warehouses as well as DCs becomes critical, and it's an emerging need for 27% of organizations. Improving service level, improving real-time visibility, and integrating AI and machine learning. So these are the priorities. Not a lot of organizations are looking to implement 5%, but it is still very strong trend. So moving forward to the next project, the Beauty Constellation, a retail company with 80 locations. It's a health and beauty retail, one DC that had very specific requirements to the assortment, since the assortment itself is of high cost, and it required a fine-tuning in approach of implementation. So this was a the same project in terms of the approach, with a thorough analysis, with a strong recommendation to centralized replenishment management, and the project resulted in improving stock balance. This was one of the priorities for the organization. But coming back to the decentralized replenishment, we see this often in organizations that are at the scaling stage. So they're growing, and they're used to managing inventories at the location, but with this as a very high risk, specifically due to the fact that in retail, employee churn may be high, and people who hold the expertise in actually knowing the demand, understanding the patterns, and understanding which product mix should be in place are leaving oftentimes. In this situation, the retail company does not feel very well in terms of inventory management, and ends up in having overstocks, lost sales, lost revenue, and dissatisfied customers. So the only advantage, I would say, from the decentralized process management is that actually replenishment process management is that actually managers can see the actual shelves, they understand the layout, and they can react to the changes better. So, but that's the only advantage. There are a lot more risks. Well, in this case, we were faced with pretty regular situation with overstocks, as managers were ordering too much, trying to be on the safe side. And then one of the priorities for the project was also to decrease number of resources dedicated to replenishment, as having purchasing manager at each location does drive a lot of risks. And then fulfilling the orders online was also a prerequisite in this project. Well, as a result of implementation, we were able to launch an autopilot for the replenishment, balance the stock, and reduce it by actually 15%. The reduced overstocks by 32 and reduce lost sales by 22%, which is amazing outcome for the company. And this is only due to improving the process and scaling that process through the automation. Moving on to the next report. I'll just make a little break. Efficient inventory management is only possible if the correct target KPIs are driving the management process. And the research that was made this year identifies that key metrics for retail companies are inventory turns. 42% of organizations set it as a must. Financial targets, inventory costs, weeks of supply for over 27%. Final margin is a KPI for over a quarter of retail organizations. Sales to stock ratio, customers experience in stock, sell-through rate, and GM ROI. So these are the key metrics that are identified by the majority of organizations. All right, so moving forward to the next case. If you have any questions on the KPIs, please do let us know. You can ask the questions in chat. And moving on to the next case, which is the specialty liquor store retailer. This is an interesting project because we stepped in at the stage of scaling of the company. We started with 17 locations, and right now they are at 147 stores. They have one DC, one DC with over 50% of items being important. The company was challenged with slow-moving stock and with very low reliability on suppliers. They did not understand the performance of the suppliers, resulted in a lot of lost sales. Did not understand which orders were fulfilled. Order line fill rate was unknown. The orders were placed at the locations and were decentralized, as in the previous projects as well. And the inefficient production, inefficient product mix was also the case. Analyzing the stock, understanding and identifying the slow-moving items, stopping the orders for the items, and automating the process, getting rid of the manual replenishment for 3,000 SKUs at the location across 147 locations was the result that we were able to achieve. And in the project, we've automated the approval process, created alternative items, added supplier reliability monitoring, and gave the possibility to retail company understand which suppliers are not reliable, build relationship with other suppliers, have alternative suppliers, improve order fill rate, automate order optimization based on various criteria from pricing, from number of items ordered, etc. And as a result, sales increased and turnover improved by 10 and 18%. And then moving on to the next next slide, the inventory management maturity. So this is a good example of how many companies are actually at the stage of mature process in inventory management. Once again, this was a research across the North America. 73% identified the processes as operational in comparing to the competitors, 24 as optimal, and 3 as basic. But this seems to be, personally, in my opinion, this does seem to be a little bit off, because this is the organizations that identify themselves as such, but other indicators show that the challenges that they have are not actually the challenges they should have if they have operational processes. So this is just a little observation. Moving on to one of the following projects, the grocery retailer with 58 locations, 1 DC, also at the scaling stage, but with a very, very particular goal in mind going into the inventory management optimization and automation project. So the company is a local regional leader in retail and is kind of a role model for other companies. And they were joining a large alliance of retailers, and they were posed with the requirement to improve inventory turnover and optimize store formats. If the criteria were not met, they wouldn't be accepted to the alliance. One of the things that did not allow them to do so was the lack of performance analytics. Their average SKU count at the location was 10,000 SKUs, and the project was launched immediately with consulting, and the result was pretty impressive. The entire team was dedicated to making sure that the deadlines are met, and within 3 months' time, we were able to produce a result of 50% stock reduction, 36% of loss sales decrease, and 37% overstock decrease. If we think about these numbers, they are really, really impressive based on the number of SKUs and locations. And we were able to improve the process of reliability monitoring and improve turnover by 18 days, which is 61%. In comparison to the startup date. But what actually allowed for such improvement were several criteria. The first one is that we were able to adjust and adapt to the requirements of different categories of products in stock: fresh, dry goods, slow-moving goods, seasonal goods, goods in trade promotion, inactive trade promotion, etc. So one of the key requirements was adaptability and flexibility to adjust to the needs, to quickly balance the situation with out of stocks and overstocks. Now, we were able to eliminate C and D category. The purchasing was stopped, and the The one of the major contributors in this case was the reporting module for our replenishment solution. So in this project, the ABCD analysis, supplier reliability report, stock performance report were able to help us deliver the quick improvements. So these are the core business cases that I wanted to support with the thesis that I had at the beginning of the webinar. And right now I'd like to ask you to dedicate a moment of your attention and conduct a vote. So based on the current challenges or biggest challenges in inventory management, what is the highest priority? I'd like my team to start the poll, and please identify one of the following. You can vote. Actually, there's some technical issue, and you can vote in the chat. All right. Or it looks like it's launched. Yeah, please take a moment and complete the vote. Yeah, I can see some answers coming through. Okay. Yeah, more answers coming through. Thank you very much for voting. Let's just take a few more moments. All right. All right, so there we go. I'm going to share the results, and lost sales and overselling comes in as a leader in challenges. I hope everyone can see the results. All right, so moving on to the summary. What is the answer to how to win the battle? Well, we see that staying on top of the data quality is a very high priority in order to ensure adaptability and quick response and precise action in the future, as well as implementing advanced solutions with artificial intelligence and machine learning. So this should be done and prepared in advance. Being agile and adaptable organization, making decisions quickly. So having transparency across every stage of the organizational management, and transparency in having visibility on the actual performance can enable making the decisions quickly. Having real-time analytics is also at the core of navigating the unpredictable environment. Continuously increase automation level. So once technologies get mature enough to take on the task of managing the inventory, managing the forecast, or managing the operations, they should be automated and implemented. The sooner, the more chances to have a more resilient organization. Getting ready for AI and machine learning, keeping hand on the vendors and technology development, and build the process for disruption in advance. So having a strategy for disruption would be a priority for an organization that wants to win the inventory management battle. So in this case, I would like to thank you for your time, and we are coming close to our time now. I'd like to thank Yelena for the support and our entire team. I hope that the information was useful and interesting, and we'll look forward to seeing you on our following webinars. Thank you very much, and have a good evening or day, depending on where you are located.